Welcome again. This is Isaac Mirore, and this still another analysis of the COP27, but also everything that entails to climate change and global warming, and so on and so forth. And thank you for subscribing and keeping tabs with what we're trying to update you about, and probably breaking it down for you, whether you're able to follow up on COP27 or not. We are making it simple and palatable for you. Access to information, I know, is part of the inequalities that Africans experience. Simply because if you want to follow up on these, and we are not well endowed with the infrastructure in terms of the internet connectivity, and it's still very expensive for Africans to use the internet. When you use 5 shillings for 500 MBs, it is very expensive. In developed countries, this is very cheap. I'm looking forward to when the internet will be free in Africa, and I hope once we move to 5G next year, as Kenyans, this will be the trajectory. Let us give internet for free, and so we need a lot of business models that are going to allow this to be free. I always give an example to some of my people that I teach. I give them an example of let's say the Gillette, the Gillette shaving machine, the manual one. It was very cheap, but the model of revenue stream was not in the sale of that shaving machine or shaving object. The revenue stream was in buying the razor blades. And so I'm sure internet can be free, but people can be their bills, the user bills can be footed by advertisers in terms of the time taken when you're browsing or working on internet, because I believe people are going to spend more hours on the internet. So the idea of you attracting advertisers and marketers because of the followers, that idea is becoming outdated. And so probably such models and many other more ingenious models are going to be adopted for internet to be free. Now, I promised you that I'll talk about some of the good work the climatologists and scientists have done. Though I am a social scientist and I really work with people and tend to look for ways how people are going to be engaged in change and a positive lasting change, because I believe that if you want something to be permanent and true, let the people do it out of will. Don't compel people. And I think a lot of people who call themselves leaders, who once they become the leaders and are put in the positions, continue to create laws of making it difficult for others. And this has been one of the bad practices that modernity has brought into the fore, and it has really made Africans great victims of the world, victims within their own countries, and it does not bring out the best in Africans. And sometimes it takes our poverty for the West to be able to manage us and arrange and rearrange. And that's why I'm saying we always have bad leaders in Africa. I am looking forward to having another leader who will be very close to the late Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, who, despite all odds, managed to take Libya to the level of the UAE countries, where education is free, fuel is cheap, and he had begun to do that for Africans. Until we get out of the mentality of we are supposed to be given, and whenever we make our own, we need to move from the mentality of amassing wealth. It doesn't matter how much billions you have amassed. This will be free money to your children or to your child. And simply because they did not adopt the culture which you probably adopted for you to acquire whatever you have, they may spend this money differently. And you'll be turning in your grave trying to stop them. But it won't happen, because there is nothing that is taken from others or taken from its rightful place that it will never go back. Everything that was stolen will come back to the rightful owner. Everything in this world has a full circle, and so what goes around comes around. And that's why, as a social scientist, I'm not fighting pure scientists, but I want to appreciate the good work they've done, and I want to zero in my discussion on the wind. We have seen the change of the climatic conditions and the seasons. The days when we used to prepare our fields for sowing seeds have changed. The days when we used to harvest have changed. The days when rain and sunshine and also African winter, which is the coldest days, have changed. Some people who are religious enough are going to saying that we have wronged God and He's punishing us. But looking at what science has been able to do for us, they are explaining that the wind pattern have been affected by what is happening in the Arctic. The high temperatures are melting the icebergs at a very faster rate, and this is why climate is and temperatures and the weather is very extreme. They have also explained that this has affected jet streams. These are airs, types of air that are on top of the atmosphere, somewhere above, probably close to the ozone layer. How they used to run the jet streams has changed. And jet streams also are affected by the warmness or the coldness or the hotness of the atmosphere. And so they used to interchange cold and hot. But today, the effect is too much that the activities of the jet streams are very weak. Okay, and probably this has to do with the denaturing of the ozone layer, among other natural ecosystems up there that we have destroyed. And so they talk about the air pressure and the atmospheric forces which make the wind have been affected. One of the evidence that I found very positive and very insightful is the fact that there is a lot of insects that are eating trees from inside, and they are falling down a lot of trees, and they are cautioning that once you find that trees are being fallen out of the consumption of by insects, they are supposed to be removed immediately from the forest because they will affect the other remaining standing trees. One, this has a potential of causing diseases among trees. And I like also what some of the nutritionists and environmental nutritionists are saying, that we need to move from beef and animal protein. And because insects are becoming overpopulated, like Africans, excuse me, we need to move into insect protein. And it could be one of the solutions. But this change will require a lot of courage and a lot of conviction. We understand especially cows contribute so much to climate change, and especially the monoculture where commercial farming is causing this destruction in ecosystem. And so probably this is the way to go, and it will be a good way of disrupting the economy because everybody can access insects. What will be probably the most difficult thing is how to process them into edible foodstuffs, because the machines will not come from Africa, believe you me, and they'll be sold very expensive, hopefully, if the common trend is anything to go by. And so this infestation by insects is driving the destruction of forests as well. So in as much as we are clamoring for afforestation and the 10% or the 15% forest cover, there is still this other challenge that we are faced with. And so we need to also be cognizant of that fact. Also, our beaches, because the trees being affected, these also affects the sand in the beach. Now, what is happening is there's a lot of erosion taking place. Okay, and this erosion is twofold. There is erosion from the mainland towards the sea, and there is erosion because of the sea rise towards the beaches. And so the soil from upstream going downstream into the ocean also contributes on the sea rise. And the sea rise contributed from the melting glaciers and icebergs is forcing the ocean basin to have a reaction, and the net effect of this reaction is that there is a lot of force in the waves, and these waves are hitting on the beaches or beach on the coastline and eroding the sand, making another hole, because this water must go somewhere. So it is carving another hole, or trying to get an outlet. And so what you're finding is that our coastal strips and regions are becoming less. Water is occupying most of these, and this is how you see as if water is occupying the coastal region, but water is too much in the ocean basin, and it is looking for other places to settle. And so they will erode the sand, making our coastlines deeper and less sandy. And you'll find that there will be a mixture of sand and other kind of soils that are coming from upstream. And so these are the effects that we are facing today with regard to wind and the effects of climate change. And so we've been advised to build dikes, but I wonder how tall these dikes are going to be, because water must really get its way back to our regional position, probably, or this excessive water and this pressured water must find a place to settle. And so you will find probably in the next 30 years there will be no beach areas, and probably the coastline are going to be cliffed. So the life that we knew is as we know it, is going to be history. And the wind is affected by the temperature, and these temperatures, like I said, the sea is getting warmer, right? And it really affects the wind. The wind is becoming hotter, and the sun is becoming hotter as well. And so all these phenomena are really affecting our ecosystem and our environment. And also for us, we are making it worse. In these oceans, not only sand and soil from the erosion that is affecting the sea level, even our wastes. And like I said in the earlier episodes, some of these single-use plastics need to be banned across the world because they find themselves into Africa. coastlines and ocean regions. We do not have capacity to clean our oceans, while those who have capacity are assisted by nature to push some of their waste into the African coast. And so we really need to try and look for ways to mitigate, even though mitigation has always been unequal and also adaptation is going to be unequal. But we really need to look for ways. Now we are dealing with economic immigrants and to some extent environmental refugees who are migrating because of the disruption. But we need to change this whole industry. It is not working. And we need to change all these laws. They are not working. They were made to protect this industry, the cheap oil industry and cheap oil economy, but they are not working anymore. And so we need even to change the syllabus. It should not skew towards the industrialization, but it should skew towards humanitarian and humanity welfare. And so by and by, I'm sure people are going to become less greedy, and people are going to be more considerate and realize that once you leave this world, you still leave a mark. And is it a positive mark, or do you care, or you don't care? And so thank you for listening to me, and hopefully in subsequent coming days we are going to have a lot of engagements around this topic. Thank you so much and have a good week.